For those of us of faith, mystics and spiritual, we know of God's perfection. For those of us of science, even though I'm pseudoscience, we know of our human biology as God's perfection. And that's because the restorative embodiment is that which any person's human makeup will bring them towards. So, self help, personal growth, spiritual growth, it's all for the people who have done the hard work or didn't need to. And so, self led people will know the difference between that which is a true leader and authenticity versus a fake one. And we're going to have stories. So, when you do meet leaders, they're emotionally stable, mature, they're intelligent, they're adaptive. They do know who facade leaders are, the fake ones, and they do know who they're for. We had a short on that. Fake people follow fake leaders. They are fake because they're wearing a mask. They're wearing a mask because they decided that their disturbances in self organization. So, thank you, Patrick Chan, for what you do for those who want to heal it. They decided that their disturbances, they're basically going to stay unhealed. So they have an issue with all of their relationships because their trust in humanity was broken since they were born, pretty much, and stuff like that. They don't own affect and emotions, and it's not stuff like that. It's that I don't want to get to the gist of it. They also don't own the sense of self. So their window tolerance diminishes as they use maladaptive patterns of behavior, the drinking, drugging, fucking, and any kind of dopamine hit, which is very explainable. They don't need to actually, well, here's the deal. They don't want it. They don't want a body mind connected. It's sad to say because their emotional body is not connected. So they will follow the people who give them the story that their brain already is telling them. The modern day therapist Zach, I don't need anything. I am actually great and perfect in every single bit. And so Stephen Porges confirms, thank you, Stephen Porges, what I learned from Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. Forgive, don't cast a stone. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Remember, they don't know what they're doing. And so, you forgive people. And that's why wise grown-ups are the function of child adults. And when we spot the facades, they have a disturbance and more in not only their self-organization, but they have an ego that's so big and so stupid that it's clear. Emotionally intelligent people are mentally intelligent. This is not just a soft skill. This is a skill that if you don't have it, one, you won't be back here at HP. Two, if you don't have it, then I'm going to let you know I'm telling you teenage stories because that's the only time I actually thought it was normal to meet that level of emotional immaturity. As I got older, I disregard every single bit of it because it's neutral to my body. Because when you self-regulate, you're not picking up on basically the envious, jealous, spiteful human beings who, the Cain and Abel story, yes, no monster, no Lucifer, no demon. Insecure human beings, they got a short end of the stick. They don't know how to self-regulate their nervous system into their ventral vagal state. Are they doomed? No, they're not. But if they follow people around who say it's dangerous to have no emotions, it's not true that it's inherently healthy or enlightening to be non-reactive. Yeah, it is true. You don't know good stress yet. So the person doesn't know what eustress is because they're actually, that's how their body is with the ventral energy. No, they're not a vampire, but basically to give you an image, because as Deb Dana and Stephen Porges pointed out, when people are in therapy, ventral energy can be off-putting because they didn't get to safely co-regulate, let alone does their body know self-regulation. It knows dysregulation, and that's the comfort zone. So please, let's not dehumanize people. And those who are 3D, 4D, mystic, spiritual, yes, they're all bypassers in my world because they're using a story from ancient textbooks to tell you there's a good team and a bad team. And I'm telling you, God's perfection is in our human biology. And when I was recently told that I'm going to have to accept that I'm rejected by everyone that will continue to say God doesn't need science, I wasn't thinking, oh my God, I'm so upset that I'm rejected by human beings who are ignorant, mediocre, continuing to spread lies and rumors, and actively speaking words of God doesn't need science to explain why you're denying, decentralizing, and the self and the religious experience when that is not disproving God. No, it is proving God's perfection. And the Jesus statement of all of us have the kingdom of God, heaven in the body, and a lot more of sentences like any other wise, enlightened one from our ancestors. So all of the yesterday's prophets, like the Dalai Lama pointed out, are all going to be for the same purpose, bring humanity together. The ones who don't want it, they don't have to have it. They want their B game on, bring it on. They're not going to be near us though, because they don't inspire human potential. They're basically like when Elvis got his legs cut off because he was dancing, which I love Elvis and I love how he danced. No, he wasn't a perfect man, and there's not a perfect man or a perfect woman. So when you meet the adopted child part, they're rigid, unforgiving, they're harsh, they're unforgiving because they have a charge. Their disturbance is their own, and they want bystanders to take their sides and then to go punish the side that made them feel insignificant. Basically, gave them a trauma charge or more. They want what's fair as teenagers go around doing that. So I'm not a teenager. I'm a grown woman who knows that there's no unfair fair, or yes, there is, and there's always us, the people with our two hands and our 2 feet. The A gamers are going to go and make sure to balance it out. B gamers are B gamers for a reason. Who knows why fake people follow fake people and fake leaders? I gave it to you in the short. Masks, they're very easy to wear. And as Patrick Chan points out, every single person who did not get seen, did not get soothed, did not get safe, did not get securely attached, wears a mask. And they're a high performer. And as Dr. Amy Pegan will point out, their neuroception, it's not willpower and it's not motivation. Their body still scans itself and others, and that's why they get stressed in any kind of social environment. Or that's why they get worried in any kind of social environment, and in a way that is of a 0-1-year-old, so walled off or too much. And so when people don't learn to have that which is their own sense of self, they're not going to spot their sense of self because they're going to wear masks. And if they're choosing to hear the story they want to hear and disregarding that they're reactive to the story they don't want to hear, then they're playing their 14-month-old ignorant little emotionally immature game. So emotional masters are the leaders. Emotional intelligent ones are leaders. The fake ones are there for the managers. They're not even managers. They just got a bunch of books. It's like following Wendy around with Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. That's what an intelligent mind, open heart, and gut will say. I can spot like a hawk any single one of people who have any kind of insecurity still within them because they get reactive in the dumbest of ways. Oh, I don't tell them anything because I don't want to waste my breath. So enlightened people don't waste their breath on that which is dumbassness, because seriously, I mean, I didn't need the attachment trauma education to learn about cowards. And while the brave ones are not cowards, the actual cowards don't think it's cool to go to therapy. And the other ones, again, don't think it's cool that there are modern day therapists helping them to do emotions. They follow people around who tell them that the therapists are actually trying to imprison us. They're not. They're teaching you what self-regulation. That imprisonment, that's a dysregulated person who's used to their modulated fight response, wants to stay that way, and feels that they're going to, hit the roof if ever they had to sit in a room like that. They can't bear it. Their body can't bear to actually go through it. It's quite remarkable how science proves God's perfection, and then how, as I've been sharing, no evil in the way of a monster. Yes, we have suffering, yeah, and our species will continue to evolve and make sure that we don't have suffering, because you can self-regulate and because we can fix any of that which is something that has been created by humankind. So the ones who have no faith in humanity, they basically are saying that they don't have faith in you, they don't have faith in me. I'm not gonna put up with that. I have faith in me and in you, and I have faith in God, and I know what science shares and shows and what technology can do. So you don't actually give up on life and on people and on academia and science and information and on every single bit of anything because of B gamers. Dan Martell, mediocre people are not dangerous to A gamers. They're actually the B gamers and mediocre because they choose to hang out with each other, and then they choose to waste their time away in every single bit of the low gratification dopamine hit, which is really yucky, uninteresting. Their brain isn't even used to learn shit. I mean, it's impressive. No, it's not. It's so not impressive. Okay, so I'm going to share some stories because the short gives you the gist. So people who wear masks, I've seen there's the masked ones, facades that are actually followed around by people. So 2 groups. We got our emotion mature group, and then we got our emotion immature group. The ones who want to heal, they're not going to stay immature. They're going to join us in the land of the living. They're going to be alive. They're going to enjoy relational joy. They're going to enjoy self-regulating. They're going to enjoy all of the stuff that we talk about. They don't use words in a way of labeling, and they don't think words are powerful because words are words. We're using them. Of course, we can have miscommunication. It's important to speak in a certain way. Depends what kind of thing you're doing. I'm building a community of people who are smart enough to not take things out of context and to have a good time. Then we have the ones who are going to continue to rip us apart. That's okay. They're not really ripping us apart. They're just actually irritated. And I get it because I get totally irritated by fake people myself. But I'm not fake. They get irritated at authenticity because it doesn't mix well. Ego doesn't mix well. Bethany Brown and Ruth Lanius actually, they pose it in a best way, and so does Stephen Porges, and so does another man. Okay, so when someone has half a brain working, the ego alone, and their self is not a sense of self that's owned, and so that we have the integrated brain, it's, excuse me, you're confusing science, spirituality. Random human being. I'm having a conversation and I'm bringing it in like I do here. And I said, no, I'm not. I bring them together on my podcast. I'm a mystic, Akashic record reader. I'm a 5D mystic, not 4D. No, because I'm a Reiki master too. And I have fun. I mean, they're not rude when I'm telling it. You might think otherwise, but I was having a good time because insecure people are upset that they get interrupted. Secure people don't give two shits because we're having a fun time. And even if eventually it becomes an argument, no, it doesn't. I think you're getting upset. You know what? Never mind. Let's not talk because this isn't social time, and that's it. And you're done. Argumentation for me is in college, not when I'm just randomly socializing with people and our subjective opinions. So by the third time, though, now I'm curious because I want to know what he's thinking because I don't know what he's thinking. I know what I'm thinking, but I don't know what he's thinking. And so that's how it works. But the people who don't own these two sides, until they become self-regulating, until they take off their mask, yeah, we won't see their perfection. We're just going to see their B game. But they have about 5 hands. So once you get past one set of cowards by the time I was 20, then the other ones are all the same. And that's why masculines, it's not men, it's half-brained people, and it's not that they're half-brained, it's a figure of speech. They're non-bilaterally integrated. And so they're not owning their subconscious when it comes up, so they don't own the sense of self. Their child parts, they're not owned. They're not even doing the work with somebody in a therapy seat because, that's why they talk about shit, but they don't do it. If they do it, eventually we'll see them become basically very fun to hang around. They don't care about words. They care about words. It's not a big deal. It is a bit, no, it's all equanimity. It's all calm-centered. It's all lovey. It's all neutral. It's all in this discernment. So, yeah. Okay, enough about that, and let me read. So we have our leaders who are emotionally stable, mature, intelligent. Then the fake facade ones, there for the followers who want to follow them around, like Peter Pan, Lost Boys, and Wendy. They disregard getting themselves to become their master, meaning their own emotional master, and therefore then their own intelligent. And with that, they don't access the heart of leadership, which is self-mastery, as it comes with emotional, mental intelligence, and maturity. So this means that we are leaving the future generations right now with that which is the proof, not only of God's perfection for those of us who know God. And if you want a little bit about Maria's story, you can read the chapter in the book, The Ways to God. I'm a co-author of it. God is discerning, equanimous love. And in that chapter, I talk a little bit about my story with good Christian Catholic upbringing, and how once I moved into having clairs, I knew that I wouldn't be welcomed by all, but that my communion with God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus is strong. In fact, Jesus, he's here, Buddha's here, Ascended Masters are here, God chimes in. But I'll take science, and they explain the sphere of consciousness, and they tell us that Thomas Campbell, love is everything. We all make sense of things with our own stories, so I have nothing against any of that, which is science. Actually, the 5D Mystics Skeptic Nutritionist Diary is because I'm saying science and spirituality come together. Our ancestors didn't know everything, and they still don't. And scientists don't know everything, and they still don't. And that's why we get together. So, integrity, love, that's where we're at, and that's our human nature, and that's what life is made of. And that's the biology of those who own their own hearts, open them up. So body, mind in connection, gut in connection, and that's why we can self-regulate. And when our biosphere, meaning if it's a couple, if it's an entire group, the mui, Dr. Daniel Siegel is the mui, biosphere is terriel, doesn't pay us back, so they don't know how to safely co-regulate, and they don't know how to self-regulate themselves. We don't do let me flick at you. My facade friend is the only one I didn't talk to for 5 years, and so when you meet fake people, they're wearing a mask because they're a performance, they're a circus act, and they don't own their child parts, and they don't own that which is their body yet. If they don't want it, you cannot make someone get that body connected and to want to expand their window of tolerance to want to welcome. In fact, there are people who after therapy, they'll be like, I didn't. And that's how it works when grown people don't want to continue choosing the ventral energy. And so anchoring in ventral energy is the strength. It's a rubber band, but only you can choose it. It's if you're in open-ended inquiry when something happens that frustrates you. And that's the personal growth, spiritual growth. So you get results because you want to get another hit of anchored in ventral energy. And when someone says you can't always stay on, yes, you can. That's how the prefrontal cortex works. The more you use it, the more you are going to learn how to continue using it. Instead, when your 3-year-old comes up, well, that's a whole different story, but that takes practice, and in time, you can work with all of the little bit of stuff that's left, but not big. So big stuff is taken care of first. The EMDR, child parts work, somatics. Then, you continue rolling with the punches. And there's Manny, Diego, and Sid. And with that, I wanted to read a Sadhguru quote. You do not have any duty towards anyone or anything. If you have love and care, you will do what is needed. He doesn't realize he's talking about healthy self-worth, empowered, restored embodied individuals. Those are all the emotionally intelligent ones, which is why we know that all of our brothers and sisters can be this angels. And that's why Jesus taught us how to forgive. And Stephen Porges continues to share with us how forgiveness is, well, he doesn't talk about forgiveness, but how biologically rude people don't choose on purpose to not hold space for you. The ones who don't want to believe it, that's okay. They don't have to, but you are magic, and science can explain magic, and that doesn't take away the magic. It actually gives us every bit of bringing it all together. So it's linear. God's perfection are his children. Human biology shows that. Those who are envious, jealous, spiteful, they are not perfect in a healthy way because they didn't get home to their whole self, and they disregard their first 3 years of life as meaningful. They disregard their first 8 years of life. They disregard why they're so harsh, unforgiving, and such assholes to each other, and they disregard that they're just fighting like cats and dogs, but in a way that doesn't actually bring to my twin sister and I fight like cats and dogs all the time. We love each other to death. We would never have not each other's back, although as kids, I remember I wrote, she said she wouldn't have my back, but I'll have her back. But that's not true. She'll have my back. So humanity, the reason we get angry when we don't bond is because we're sad. And the reason we are all angry when we see injustices happen is because we want justice. But anger is the grief of not being able to be seen by each other. And so in a moment of change, there are different things that have changed. And like when Elvis came around and they cut his legs off, so are we having certain types of reactivity to AI, technology, to the explanation of what a human being is made of. And then we have shitty ass movies and games and all that crap that I swear if I were able to, I would get rid of all of it and only bring in academia. But then that's why we're not 1 3-year-old, 2 3. This is the point. Variety. There's all these different ways, like Thomas Campbell points out, that we will get to learn things and that we will get to make sense and choose love. So here's God's perfection again, your free will, and science's perfection of sharing. You can't make someone love themselves first. You can't make someone go to any of that, which is therapy. Everyone gets to decide what they will want to bring in. If that lovely A game and or if what I call a B game. But I get it why we have those facade masked leaders, because when I see the shamans for the unseen, unsoothed, unsafe, insecure, so all the people who go to each other and play this futile, silly ass game that they do, which it's futile and silly to me because I'm all attachment trauma educated, watching them play out unfinished business, continue to lament and play a superhero or a supervillain, play some dumb. So it's all magical thinking. Like they're almost like I don't need to watch TV soap operas. Why bother? Just go out, see how people are still insecure with each other and not bothering with Terry Real or Patrick Tian and getting their A game on, and following actual individuals who are completely not hilarious, but then again they are. Gender stereotypes, generalizations, labeling the twin flame thing, the way they did that, that was just very much, thank goodness, I trusted my own gut. I just kept getting so infuriated by these individuals who kept on insulting the masculine in such a way. I was frustrated too, yes, but not in a way of demonizing them or continuing to think that I actually had a right to judge their decisions as good or bad in a way. Because, see, it's if you want to live your mediocre life, then go do your mediocre life. Who am I to stop you from being in relationships that you have no business being in, from actually doing shit that's bad for your body and everything and beyond, to consistently, continuing to actually act like teenagers. I'm 45. So the point is, if you don't use your body and mind in connection and you don't get yourself there, and if you don't use the bright sides of neuroplasticity, and if you don't choose to forgive, and if you don't choose to bring your A game on, love, and the flow state, you're going to, every day of your life, you're going to lock yourself more and more in that which is the dark sides of neuroplasticity. So people don't believe in science, and they don't believe they can extend their life, while I know they can, and that eustress is better than distress. And somebody who says it's dangerous to have no emotions knows nothing of emotions, because you can't have no emotions. But the subline is, it's not true that it's inherently healthy or enlightening to be non-reactive, while it is true. So that word, that's why words don't mean anything, is someone's using them to play to crowd, but they're not playing to crowd. The crowd that likes every single bit of everything that's being said and trusts that individual chose to trust that individual over modern day therapists because they didn't like what they heard. Non-reactivity is equanimity. It means you know how to use your social engagement system. They don't like that they're being taught how to be alive in their body, because that's what pseudo-alive people want. They don't want to be alive. They want to be able to do yucky, low-frequency gratification hits, because that's all they know, because they have not gotten their emotional body online. They're used to their bad habits. They enjoy their bad habits. They've become, it's like someone getting off of a panic attack. It's disgusting. And a healthy person who knows eustress and ventral energy will understand how limited and small that little energy is, and how, yeah, you can continue wielding your mouth, but the only ones who are following you, it's not a play. They're not playing. If you want to appeal to the large audience, appeal to the masses, as Schopenhauer points out, we're all part of the masses. Difference is, are you part of an ignorant group of people who wants to continue to play Dungeons and Dragons and battlefields, or are you part of a group of people who know what they're talking about and then know, of course, entertainment, great, but there's a difference between again, I digress, and I am not entertained, because I would be entertained if it was fake. It's not fake. People use every single bit of all of it, the TV, the games, to then go out and I get to see it being played out. And then when I say your first 3 years of life matter to why your behavior and your meaning, no, behavior and habits, all of it, every single bit of bad habits and behavior comes from this lack of capacity, because it's so scary to begin to feel alive. It's not funny. So, I found it hard to believe that my first year's life, that's how someone answers a person who's explaining to them. Another says, I'm just as healthy as can be. No, heart attack waiting to happen, not healthy, stop. But you don't say anything, because that would be bad manners of me, but also they just rejected information and data. Others will twist it to say they fit the bill, when it's like, okay, you obviously lack objectivity. But I'm not going to be the one to point it out, because this human being that said I'm doing great argued with me about how you can sleep little, and I said, I'm not saying that you grow old and you're crickly. I'm saying your body needs sleep. And they went on to say, no, what do? You're not going to fuck a woman if you're going to be out all that. And he brought this entire ridiculous conversation, and I wasn't even wanting to converse with this person. In fact, I don't like conversing with some people, yet they seem to enjoy bringing to me their stuff. And then I remind myself, you bring stuff to people that they don't want to hear. So, there you go. And that's how it's always, all of us can annoy each other. But not only that, this human being also, in addition to arguing with me about this sleep thing that he deprives himself of, he does drugs, drinks a whole bunch, and then the week after, he and a girl that I think he was fucking, I don't know, fell 3 times, and luckily they didn't die. They both were very rude to people who were helping them. And furthermore, when we're in this other conversation, they were being very nice towards another human being who obviously we were both, and then another person was there too, saying there must be an issue here. And they randomly, after attachment trauma education that we were just chit-chatting about, because I was giving them my 2 cents of how, yes, obviously we have something hidden beneath the surface for this other individual, they say, I'm doing great. And it's like, you don't say anything to that, because they had drank 7, if not 8 beers that night. They had done drugs, I don't know when. And in the meantime, I got the other person next to them. Yeah, system's trying to hold us down. The system, it's the system. And I've heard this before, again, of the system trying to hold people down. And I'm an ex-smoker of cigarettes, and I still smoke tobacco, meaning the cigars. That's my compromise. But my point is, I'm not going to say the system's trying to hold me down. I'm going to say, okay, they could educate us. They could, avoid spiking prices and ridiculously doing shit that is inconsistent. But I'm not going to say and sound like a moron and think the system is trying to hold me down. That's what I feel. Because I'm the one who gets to go vote. I participate to trying to change things. Are we doing great? No, we're not. But we can get there. That's the part. You don't give up on that which is a system. You fix it. We work with it. And people who are already not thinking we can win, why are you even bothering talking then? I've had people say, we're never going to get there. Okay, wow. Like Albert Einstein points out, stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. The one thing that people, smart human being, made a share with me a couple days ago, 3 days ago. Yes, people in the absence of meaning, and that's why if you give yourself meaning, but you also know you have no meaning, here's the power of Resh. Here's our expansion of our 8th, 9th chakra, which we're still doing. Here's a person who owns their human secondary consciousness. And here's me being Maria, connected. I don't mean anything to you. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. There's no power. This word power means something different to a person who's literal. It's in the hands, and as for whatever systems have been created and all that, we get to participate. So unless you feel that you're a victim and you're helpless and you're hopeless in life, I don't. That's the people who think that we have no way out of anything, and they're doing that which is called karma versus dharma, and they're the ones who are following people around who give them the same story. And that is my cue, the story. Thank you for chiming in. But at the end of the day, we will get somewhere. I can't wait to see the future, as we're already in there. Remember, 4D don't know we're here. They think the future humans aren't here yet because they don't know their ventral energy. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.